Have been quite overwhelmed. Jason Carroll has been looking into early voting and some of the problems that come along with it. A lot of people wanted to get it out of the way. People reporting waiting online for hours.
And it's just going to take a lot of patience because the long lines, they're definitely there. 31 states allow some form of early voting, and late last week, many blew past their 2004 turnout totals. Pretty much wherever you look, the lines have been unbelievable. Take a look at what it looked like this past weekend in North Carolina. About 2.3 million people had cast a ballot by Friday. That's more than a third of all registered voters in the state. Same can be said for similar scenes out there in Florida. As many as more than 3 million people have voted there. The lines forming in some places 30 minutes. In one case, hours before the polls were set to even open. One voter called into the CNN voter hotline after being in line for about 3 hours, so imagine how frustrated he was. And the voters just keep coming. Late last night, we got a report from Franklin County, Ohio, where they had to cut off lines there at 5 o'clock when the polls officially closed. But the lines were already there, and they were very, very long, so that it took until about 11 p.m. to get everyone inside to vote. In all, a CNN count shows that there were more than 23 million people that have voted in 25 states. And just a bit of interesting information in some of those numbers, not all of those states report party affiliation. But of those that do, 58% of early voters have been registered Democrats, while 42% have been Republicans. And one more final note, that voter who did end up calling in from the hotline from Florida, we called him back later in the day to see how things went. He said he went back to the polls at around 9 o'clock in the morning. He ended up voting at around 2, so that ended up being a 5-hour wait. So they ended at the bottom line here, if you're going to go out there and vote, even on Election Day, there seems to be so much excitement about all this. You're just going to have to wait.
Especially in those battleground states like Florida, where literally, as we've seen, every vote can count. So we're hearing all these reports. Do we have any idea about widespread problems and lines in some of these states?
Well, a little bit of information. What we're hearing from our CNN hotline, thousands of people have called in, some 25,000 people calling in. CNN's partner at Info Voter Technologies reporting 16,000 callers coming in. Most of it just being the complaints that we're hearing so far are about some of those long lines, people looking for some answers. They just weren't prepared for the turnout this early.
Unbelievable. All right. Well, we'll see what happens, but just a day left. And for those that did wait out there for hours, good for you. You were very committed. Jason Carroll, thanks. Well, if you see any of these voting irregularities, we do want you to call us 877-GO-CNN08 to report any problems.